Ben Carlson wrote a post called The Psychology of Sitting in Cash, Part 2, because he wrote one similarly in 2015.
What is this Part 2?
I don't know. Ben is apparently French. However, there is a lot to get into, so stick around. We'll talk about it. Michael, you read Ben's post. You probably read his first post when he wrote it, The Psychology of Sitting in Cash. I have this thing where...
I can't believe it was 2 years ago. Time flies in a bull market. Actually, it was 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
So I have this whole thing in my past, having been an advisor through 2008, 2009, 2010, and remembering what it was like talking to people who, quote unquote, called the crash, swung to cash, got out, and then didn't do anything. And I have like a lot of vivid memories of those conversations for years after. And I think that's what Ben's getting at, right?
Yeah. So let's say that you do call the top, you nail it. Perfectly right.
You sold out, the market came down 15%. Right. Not even a crash.
Right. So you're not going to, but let's assume that you do. You then have to get I guess you don't have to get the bottom precisely right, but you have to get back in. And it's easy to get back out. It's really hard to get back in. And then furthermore, if you do call the top, you probably think you're a genius. And you're not going to take anybody's advice ever. And you're going to think that you know how this whole thing plays out. So being right twice is just ridiculously hard.
Being right once paralyzes you because you were so good, like, I nailed it. Then it's like, well, I got to nail the right time to buy. Like, it makes it so that there's never a good time to buy because it's not worth getting back in and being wrong, because then it negates that you were right. And that messes with your head.
And then you trust your gut, right? Because you were right when it really mattered. But let's say
you take all the wrong lessons for having done that one thing, quote unquote, correctly, or you have every bad lesson.
Right. So like good investing is not about missing bear markets. It's about surviving bear markets and getting through them. And so if you sidestep a 20% decline, are you eager to get back in? Probably not, because why do stocks fall 20%? Because shit is falling apart, and you probably think they're going to fall another 20%.
Right. So Ben's got these considerations.
Can I read a quote?
Yeah, please.
There was one that I really loved. He said, corrections and bear markets don't make it any easier to pull the trigger. You would assume it becomes easier to buy stocks when they're falling, but cash is a comfortable place to be during a correction. It's like you're tucked in under your warm comforter on a freezing Saturday morning in the winter, and you never want to get out of bed.
Okay, right. So you sell out, the S&P's down 10%. You're not like, nice, I'm back.
Let's put this money to work.
No, in your head, you're like,
right,
I'm good. Like, and so then the benefit of having missed it, well, then it rebounds, goes back to where it was, and then what? Well, there'll be another one.
And then let's say, so Ben wrote this piece first in 2015. Imagine just like the psychology of praying for a market crash. Like, what does that do? It
makes you insufferable around your friends.
It's just like
family.
it's just rot in your brain.
Yeah, it biases you to see every future development as negative.
So another big takeaway.
We know guys like that. They
used
to be like guys that blog and guys that are advisors. They used to be like.
Are you talking about yourself?
No,
you do both of those things. You blog and advise.
Yeah, but I don't delude myself into thinking that I'm going to avoid 10% corrections.
20
I got. All right, but I want to get into some of these specific things. Considerations about raising cash or going to cash. The first, you already mentioned that it doesn't make it easier to pull a trigger. The second, waiting is the hardest part. And so he brings up this example where, like, let's say you were in the market after 2013. We had this amazing 30% year. And then you said, all right, it went too far too fast. I'm going to cash. No matter what, I'll be happy that I did that. And then the problem is the S&P, since the start of 2014, is now up another 60%. So you need a 35% drop to happen to bring us back to where we were at the end of 13. How many people are going to wait that out? You're definitely buying back higher.
All of these things assume like binary decisions. I'm all in or I'm all out. And there was a really good article over the weekend in Barron's where somebody, Jack Ho, said, if you're going to panic, if you can envision the Dow falling another 3,000 points and you know you're going to panic, well, maybe panic a little today. And he was making the case that don't be all in or all out. If your allocation is 60% stocks, maybe take it down to 50. So it doesn't have to be black or white. There's room
right.
for
Now,
gray.
that's not a science. That's going to be subjective to what kind of person you are, and it's going to be an art.
And only you can know that.
Only you can know that. Drop the anchor. Making your buy decision strictly based on where you sold will likely only compound the issue. So if you're like, I got out at Dow 25,000, and then the market goes to 26, you're like, well, I will not buy back in until it's 25,000.
Correct.
This is the shit that people do in casinos where I started with 5,000. I'm not leaving until I'm back at 5. There's no difference.
What accent was that?
I guess like somebody like a local from Nevada that goes to a Vegas casino. I don't know. I picture a townie doing that, but probably it's going to be someone from New York. I don't know. That was disrespectful. The last one, timing the market requires being right twice. So being right, what you're really doing is saying that I did this time, and that means I have to do it every time. And so maybe you'll get the bottom and make that second decision correctly. But are you going to do it next year? Are you going to do it the year after? Because that's how you slice up your account and chop up your own portfolio. And that only, as a long-term behavior, is going to limit your returns. I mean, is there any way around that? Probably not. All right, that's it from us. Great post, Ben. If you haven't read it, we'll link to it in the show notes. Let us know what you think. The psychology of sitting in cash. What are your thoughts? We'll talk to you soon.